by the Singapore Convention on Mediation. Singapore offered support in assisting those who had not ratified the convention. Law ministers also commended the work of the Secretariat in developing best practice standards and technology-driven solutions on case management. Another issue that was discussed was easing mission travel for Commonwealth staff across. The law ministers were updated on the Secretariat's progress on its work to ease the pressure and costs of staff traveling on official business throughout the Commonwealth. Law ministers acknowledged their 2022 directive that the Secretariat raise the issue before the appropriate fora. The Secretariat highlighted a number of precursory matters which require the attention of law ministers. These include the setting up of a working group to conduct an analysis of existing legislation in member countries which govern the diplomatic immunities and privileges of the Commonwealth Secretariat as an institution and of its staff in member countries, and the approach used for other regional as well as international organizations. Law ministers endorsed the establishment of a working group to collate legislation on diplomatic immunities and privileges offered to the Commonwealth Secretariat as an institution and its staff on mission in member countries. Law ministers noted the need to include and keep informed other relevant ministries in this process. There was also a discussion on mapping a people-centered justice approach to access to justice. And in this regard, this was captured. Building on the previous recognition that there is an urgent need to develop more evidence-based, data-driven justice solutions, law ministers participated in a working session on mapping a people-centered justice approach to access to justice. Law ministers were guided through a discussion which highlighted the approach through a practical example of a member country's development of a 10-year strategy on people-centered access to justice. Law ministers were encouraged to explore people-centered innovative pathways to close the justice gap, which in some jurisdictions can extend to 55% of the population. People-centered solutions should be contextual, data-driven, and demonstrate potential for expansion on replication. Then there was a discussion also on the protection of vulnerable groups. In keeping with the Secretariat's mandate to protect vulnerable groups in the Commonwealth, law ministers received a paper on online violence against women and girls. This paper presented a summary of findings and recommendations contained in 5 regional reports addressing the role of bystanders in the context of online violence. The report noted that high incidence of cyber violence